Emma from Majority Report talking about you. Oh, joy.
There's some problems with it, but it is good that we are beginning to at least talk a little bit more about the dropping of the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
I worry that we have people like Destiny out here, that we're actually going backwards in our understanding of that stuff, because we got a lot of edgelords saying that actually it was good and we needed to do it, even though it's 7 years later, and that's not the line that scholarship is taking.
Well, then let's be unambiguous.
That's not the line that scholarship is taking. I feel like it's a legitimately hotly contested topic of whether or not we should or shouldn't have nuked Japan, right? It seems like the strongest arguments in favor of it so far are that Japan was engaged in literally total war. Like every single member of their population was engaged in the destruction of the United States of America. 2, we had already had the battle of what was the one that was fought? Somebody in chat will know it. We'd already had a couple of unimaginably like bloody battles with Japan thus far. The Battle of Okinawa had, this is a wild range of numbers. It's 40 to 150,000 civilians killed. Did I hear you correctly? Every person in Japan was at war? Yeah, I believe so, right? The concept is called total war, right? Where your entire economy, every citizen is all like involved in the production, manufacturing of arms, soldiers, everything, right? They actually wanted to drop at least a dozen bombs and only stopped because the weather wasn't ideal. You need to justify dropping them when anything's first. They wanted to drop at least a dozen bombs. I'm pretty sure they didn't even have that many made. I thought they had 3 made tops. I don't think we even had enough. I don't even know if we had enough material in the United States to make a dozen bombs. I thought over the next like 2 years, wasn't it? Is this, hold on, I'm sorry, because now a movie just came out of this. Is this covered in the Oppenheimer movie? Did they say that line or something now, and now everybody's an expert on on nuclear weapons? Oh God, kill me. I haven't seen it yet. Didn't they only have enough material for 2 bombs, and in like a few months they could have made, I think, a 3rd one, and then like a year or 2 later they could have made like 2 or 3 per year? I thought that was like what, so the idea that they were gonna drop a dozen bombs, they tested one and dropped the other 2 they had.
The Battle of Coral Reef was the last naval op. We wiped out their navy and still didn't surrender.
I'm not saying that nuking Japan was, well, well, here's what I will say. Retrospectively, for a few reasons, nuking them was absolutely the best decision. I think that's inarguable, but I mean, I don't know. People smarter than me probably debate that. However, to act like it was, even at the time, like a clear-cut answer, I feel like there are good arguments in favor and against. Also, here's the hottest take, also, why this is like the most boring argument in the world, and I am going to do this. If Japanese people were white, or if it was Germany instead, I don't think any of these retards would give a fuck. I don't think they would care. I really don't think they would care. That's my hot take on it, but...
It was in our coverage of it here.
Yeah.
We dropped 2 bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki when Japan had no feasible way to win the war. Our Air Force was decimating them.
What does that mean? Our Air Force was decimating them? Yeah, by firebombing entire cities and leveling to the ground, like 16 square miles. I think of Tokyo as... Is that what you want? Do you just want more of that? Is that better? Is it better to die in a firebombing than it is to die in a nuclear weapon? Bro, this shit is wild. You have any idea how destroyed this city was? Oh shit, oh my God, I'm so late. Hold on, what was the rest of this?
There were some hardliners within their own government who wanted to continue to drag it out and hope that the enemy, the United States, the Allies would tire out and that they would be able to maintain something and it would not be an unconditional surrender. The United States wanted an unconditional surrender, and that was in part due to the fact that we were looking ahead towards our rivalry with the Soviet Union, and we wanted to be the ones to end the war. And that is why, in part, we dropped those 2 weapons that incinerated school children, wiped people out. What's the estimate?
School children were, like, people were already being killed. Sorry.
It's a little under 200,000 people killed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in total.
I mean, yeah, you never know how many estimates if there are, but this is from atomicarchive.com. It says 135,000 total in Hiroshima and 64,000 in Nagasaki.
And then the radiation poisoning and the health effects that came after it also made their effects known for decades on Japanese communities. They were civilian.
Were the radiation effects that bad? My understanding is that the radiation and stuff afterward, how many people, well, we can look it up. How many people cancer Japan atomic bombs? Tumor registries were initiated in 1957 in Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the period from 58 to 99. 7,500 or 7,851 malignancies. The excess number of solid cancers estimated at 848. Destiny willing to take hard stances and may be wrong even when the facts are. I'm literally looking up right now, you f***ing retard. Off yourself. Holy shit, how f***ing stupid are you? If you want to present something different, feel free to post it in chat, dipshit. My understanding is that these bombs were exploded. They didn't actually make it to the ground, but they were exploded in the air. The radiation effects of a nuclear bomb isn't necessarily the same as the radiation effects of like a power plant breaking down. But you guys hear atomic bomb and you think that like, oh, it's irradiated forever. My understanding is today, if you go to Nagasaki or Hiroshima and you measure the radiation, it's the same as like the radiation anywhere else on the planet, right? Not to say there might have been radiation deaths or whatever, but I don't think that like the goal of an atomic bomb is to like irradiate an entire area and just like keep it. I just don't know, but I don't know the numbers. This puts the acute radiation sickness at around 6,000 people. What do you say to the argument that the USA should have demonstrated the power of nukes before using it on civilian cities? I don't think we had that many nuclear weapons. I don't think we just had a ton of nukes to throw around. Also, wait, we demonstrated a nuke. We demonstrated one on Hiroshima. Wait, what do you mean? Wait, what? Did we not? We fired two. There were two of them. What? I don't understand.
These were people that were not their effects known for decades on Japanese communities. They were civilians. These were people that were not involved in the war effort, and we did it in order to show American might looking ahead to our rivalry with the Soviet Union. The Nazis had already surrendered. Japan was not going to win the war no matter what, and this was all a part of a show of force. Plus, there were domestic concerns because after Pearl Harbor, politically in the United States, there was pressure to be as militant as possible with Japan, and that was deeply intricately involved in Truman's decision in this way. It's also notable that.
So this is what I get mad about, because you retards will make posts on my. I hate everybody right now. I'm sorry. I'm in a very edgy mood. Okay, you guys make posts about like, oh, Destiny said that in Florida, if they write that any slave benefited from slavery ever, blah 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 blah. The United States is presented as a pretty big bad guy for World War II. Like, I think these people legitimately think the U.S. is the actually. I guarantee you that if you were to pull all three of these people here, they would say World War II, Nazi Germany was defeated by the Soviets. Thank God for them. And I guess the United States helped a little, but oh my God, the nukes were atrocities. That's what I think what all three of these people would say, or four, because I think there's a fourth guy in production or whatever. Why does nobody talk about the fucking insane shit that Japan was doing? Why does nobody give a fuck about what? Like,
Truman was the one that made the choice, as opposed to FDR, who was no longer alive.
Well, and on that, again, there's like a lot of like shit online, and Bradley can pull this up. This is from a Roman Helmet guy, a verified Czech pays for the check on Twitter, and he has this tweet that I put in there. That Kelsey Atherton responded to, but the original, just put the image up first, because there's like people like we just aren't good at processing this stuff. So the image says from Roman Helmet guy, "I have blood on my hands," and then it's an image of Truman saying, "Never let that crybaby in here again."
I think that's from the movie. That's a quote.
Yeah, and go to Kelsey Atherton's clip here. Kelsey writes, the main reason there wasn't a third bomb dropped on Japan is because after Nagasaki, Truman ordered a halt to all atomic bombing unless he gave direct authorization, his first affirmative order over nuclear weapons. Reports of the bomb killing children motivated this halt. So right there already, we've collapsed the actual nuance into the decision into, oh, he was a macho guy doing like the Bernie meme saying, yes, like we do want to incinerate these
Total
kids.
edgelord, yeah.
Exactly, and it's like, when it's presented that way, you'll have a certain percentage of people that are like, oh, yeah, we did do that, and actually Truman was based for doing that, and it's not even the way it went down.
And the reason, the reason also that we didn't drop that third bomb was eventually the emperor decided that it was time to surrender, essentially. But the whole notion of what this kind of weaponry does in killing civilians, the military justification is that, well, once the regular people feel what their government is doing in the war, that the people in power are more likely to capitulate to our demands because there will be domestic anger. That has been proven time and time again to be a false premise for warfare. The ruling elites in the United States are disconnected from what regular people are feeling.
It is. I don't want to. I can't. I'm done. I'm done with this video. Like, look at how unpopular all military intervention was in the Middle East after Iraq. The idea that when we came home from Vietnam, like the idea that the population, as long as you live in a democracy, the idea that the population doesn't pressure your foreign military action is insane. Like, I don't care. I don't care. All right. I just want to play video games. Okay, today's a video game day. Wow, Shroud Boy, thanks for the 10 gifted subs, my dude. Like, the ruling elite. Like, normal, ordinary f***ing Japanese soldiers were f***ing gluing their cockpits shut and flying into f***ing boats. Like, what the f***, bro? It wasn't the Emperor in those planes. Okay. Through a quick Google search, it says Japan killed over 30 million while liberating from the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Spirit. Yeah, because there was a... what was the name of the war going on? I'm not going to be able to... dude, I never learned anything about this in school. But we don't learn anything east of the Soviet Union for World War II, except for once like the Germany's or the Nazis and the Germany's, once the Nazis were defeated, then it's like, okay, and then Japan appears. That's basically like, or at least from I didn't take AP US history or any advanced history courses, to be fair. I only took the normal one. But basically the way that World War II is taught is you've got, at least in my high school, you had the United States and then Europe, Nazi Germany, Soviet Union. There was no Southern Front. Africa didn't exist, even though arguably there's a lot that happened here historically as well that I don't even know about. Basically, Germany was killing everybody. The United States came over and they stopped them, and then the Soviets also helped with US supplies. And then after this whole conflict is resolved, it's kind of like in movies where like 10 people are fighting Batman, but they always wait one at a time. At some point, Japan bombed us, and then we come over here to Japan. But like conflicts, like China doesn't even exist as a country yet. Korea, Taiwan, none of these places even exist as country. Well, literally, didn't even exist as places yet. And so I don't think we ever learned about any of the conflict or at least I hadn't until a while ago, learned any about the conflict Pearl Harbor, basically, for Japan. But please finish the video. Bro, it's just so stupid. It's just all like America bad. Like their whole philosophy is America bad, America bad, America bad. Like that's all it is, right?
Problems with it, but it is good that.
But Japan, my understanding, warning alert, I haven't read about any of this in a long time, okay? So warning alert, but my understanding is that the Japanese people essentially thought the same as the Nazis in that they were the superior Asian people and they were going to pillage, rape, destroy, experiment on, murder every other type of Asian person in that Southeast Asian area. And they had done that. They were invading, they were conquering, they were abducting women, they tortured POWs, they had crazy units doing insane experiments that rivaled like Nazis. They didn't view these people as subhuman. Yeah, it was insane. I'm not even sure if, again, I don't even know if the Japanese tried to hide it though. Like, at least for Nazi Germany, they were like, bro, we have to cremate these bodies because this shit is insane. Okay, we got to hide this shit. It's up. Like, at least the Nazis were like, this is kind of up. We need to, but I'm pretty sure in Japan, they were just like, we know it's up, but you're not human, so we don't care. Like, they treated people as it was insane. Not that justifies killing civilians or anything. I'm just saying that I feel like we gloss over the Japanese mindset in World War II a lot, but
now it's a little under 200,000 people killed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki and for decades on Japanese communities. They were civilians. These were people that were not involved in the war effort, and we did it in order to show American might looking ahead.
Wait, not involved in the war effort? My understanding was I thought Japan, World War II, I thought that the entire civilian population was involved in the war effort. Because that was part of the reason why, like, literally every single last civilian was ready to fight to the death, essentially. I think the concept is total war, right? Or maybe that's U.S. propaganda so we could go bomb cities, you know? Who knows? We were evil like that.
To our rivalry with the Soviet Union. The Nazis had already surrendered. Japan was not going to win the war no matter what, and this was all a part of a show of force. Plus, there were domestic concerns.
Already, we've collapsed the actual nuance into the decision into, oh, he was a macho guy doing like the Bernie meme saying yes, like we do want to incinerate.
Total edgelord, yeah.
Exactly, and it's like when it's presented that way, you'll have a certain percentage of people that are like, oh yeah, we did do that, and actually Truman was based for doing that, and it's not even the way it went down.
And the reason the reason also that we didn't drop that third bomb was eventually the emperor decided that it was time to surrender. Of civilians just getting wiped out, burned to death instantly, does not have bearing always in a one-to-one way with what their government is going to do, and that was the case after the dropping of the first bomb, before the dropping of the second. And so, like, now we're away from Matt Walsh's tweet there, but like what we just laid out for you makes it super clear that yeah, feminism not as deadly as the weapon weapons of war that we used in those instances.
Yeah, and that we're like basically learning to accept now. Further note on the Never Let That Crybaby in here comment, Ethan writes, American Prometheus reports a crybaby remark that was unclear if it was said at the time or Truman's embellishment after. Regardless, both men expressed some regret over the bomb, but Truman insisted on H-bomb creation and Oppenheimer worked to prevent an H-bomb's arms race. But like, yeah, like...
Also, the quote doesn't come across to me like I'm some sort of base tough guy dropping bombs. It came off to me as him telling Oppenheimer to shut up because he's the one who has to deal with the real trauma of ordering them. Like, that's what it came out to, how it came off to me, not like he was coming off like some big tough guy.
But even so, like, this is why I'm sort of ambiguous about this sort of stuff being put to film.
I think Japan wanted to get a negotiated surrender instead of unconditional surrender, so they were looking to fight. Yeah, but weren't the early conditional surrenders of Japan them still holding large swaths of land in Southeast Asia? Can you watch this video if you want to actually go to anti-bomb? I've read a lot of critiques of the Sean and Jen video. I don't think I would ever recommend or watch that video on the Nagasaki thing. I think there's a lot of really good posts in the, I think in the Historian and Ask Historian subreddit, if you want to read about stuff relating to the bombing of Japan. There's been a number of years since I've read any of that, but I would recommend that way over. No offense, but like anybody that identifies as a communist or socialist, you should treat their historical knowledge as about the same as like a fascist or a Nazi, because it's the rewriting and the motivations given are insane for all sides. It's just not worth. It's not worth wasting your time. Just read like primary, secondary sources, or like find like less biased coverage of things.
Anyway, is because instead of a letter after the fact to Dean Acheson, it's dramatized as in the moment, and guys like this say like, oh, that's actually based, and it's gross, and I don't feel like I feel like we're going backwards on the nuclear bomb question, but maybe I'm just pessimistic.
That's fair to be so. And just note that these people are just fascists. I mean, when the Nazis spoke about what they wanted for the role for women to be, it was what, Kinder, Kucha, what's the third one?
Now, if you're a tradcon about women's issues, you're a fascist. That's what we're saying. Okay.
Kitchen, children, and I'm forgetting, but
yeah.
Kurcha, I don't know what that means though.
Children, kitchen, church.
Church, right.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a fascist ideology, and that's the kind of thing that Matt Walsh is promoting.
Yeah, I mean, Walsh is doing the flip side of like what we do, which is like to look at these things and then try to bring a sort of like progressive or preferably like labor component to it. Instead, he's just using it as a propaganda vehicle instead to talk about his preferred things, which is like feminism sucks.
And
it's just because
it's definitionally reactionary, and people should know that these conservative influencers, despite Matt Walsh making so much more money than like I could even imagine doing this kind of job, you know, they don't. They're doing so. In a way that isn't about, they're not making money basically because of so many people agree with them. They're making money in an artificial way because they are well funded, and what they're
what a weird way to say. You make artificial money if you get paid, but it's not artificial. It's only not artificial if you have like a Patreon or whatever, I guess. Okay.
Advocating is deeply unpopular, including like reactionary returns to pre-sexual liberation times and times when women were not empowered over their own lives. He's talking about feminism as a larger concept, the empowerment of women. I mean, let's be real here. Do you think a majority of Americans support women having equal rights? Because I do. But that's not what he advocates for. So just the fact that he has a big audience, the fact that he has money, that does not mean that he's appealing to a majority of people. In fact, it's the opposite, and that's why he's funded to spew his retrograde view of the world.
Jesus Christ. At some point, maybe in a few days, we'll start reading more about this. What are these? What are these numbers? Japanese war crimes from 1937 to 1945. Deaths, 3 million to 30 million people. Various related crimes include sexual slavery, massacres, human experimentation, starvation, forced labor directly perpetuated or condoned by the Japanese military and government. Yeah, I think this is mostly Chinese people. Thoughts on Master Chief using a nuke on the Covenant High Fleet carrier? War crime or no? Good question. "100-Man Killing Contest" was a newspaper account of a contest between Toshiaki Mukai and Tsuyoshi Noda, two Japanese army officers during the Japanese invasion of China over who could kill 100 people the fastest while using a sword. The two officers were later executed on charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity for their involvement. Who won? Yeah, good question. Read the second paragraph of that article. Wait, this? Both officers supposedly surpassed their goal during the heat of battle, making it difficult to determine which officer had actually won the contest. Therefore, according to the journalist, blah, blah, they decided to begin another contest with the goal of 150 kills. The Nietzsche headline of the story of the 13th of December read, incredible record. In the contest to behead 100 people, Mukai 106, Noda 105. Both second lieutenants go into extra innings. I think the Japanese government refuses to admit these atrocities. I thought the emperor had begun to a few years ago. I could be wrong, but... The second paragraph. The news stories are rediscovered in the 70s, which sparked a larger controversy over Japanese war crimes in China, in particular the Nanjing Massacre. The modern historical consensus, is that the stories did not occur as they were described. The original accounts printed in the newspaper suggested or described the killings as hand-to-hand combat. However, historians have suggested they were most likely a part of Japanese mass killings of Chinese prisoners. Yeah, the Unit 731 stuff is also pretty bad, but I feel like we've all lay-reddited that stuff. I think the Unit 731 stuff was worse than a lot of the Japanese experimentation, though. That was just like, just wild shit. Do you mean German? Wait, what did I say? You said Japanese? Oh, it was worse than a lot of the Nazi stuff, I'm pretty sure. Sorry. See you next time, bucko.